And we are live. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, and welcome to the 26th.
27th.
27th. I missed last week, didn't I? Yeah, I knew there was a reason. I missed last week. And everybody on Facebook Live. Yeah, Fabi didn't really believe me that we were going out on Facebook Live. You are, Fabi, trust me. Okay, for our 27th lock-in series. I met Fabi a little while ago and about staging, and I went to her Facebook group and I was really quite impressed. And I kind of said, oh, that's exactly what members, because we got into a conversation about service accommodation. We got in, talked about the HMO and people doing flips, etc. And she showed me some stuff and I thought, I like that. And she kind of rebelled a little bit when I said, could you do my house? But live, yeah, I'm going to say, Fabi, you're doing my house. Because she didn't want to do it. Yeah, she does HMOs and that. She don't want to do people's houses. But thank you, Fabi. And before I go on any further, I've just got to remind people, because of GDPR, if you don't want to be recorded, could you please leave now? Good, got that out of the way. And we've seen a little bit of this presentation, and me, Anthony, and Ben were like, maybe because we're men, I really don't know. But we were like, I like that. And then one picture was, guess what changed? And it was, I knew it changed, but because we're men, we don't look the same as maybe women do. I don't know. But we looked at it and went, oh, I like that. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Just by a few little things. And it makes the room look completely different. So I'm going to shut up. Yeah. I'd just like to welcome everybody on board. We're into 3 pages now, Fabi. Yeah. There's quite a few people watching this and no nerves. Yeah. And this is her first presentation. Yeah. Like this. So honestly, Fabi, nothing to worry about. These are lovely. These are our members. And if you get stuck or you lose your plot, just stop and then move on. Honestly, not a problem with us lot.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So I'm going to start sharing the screen now. So first of all, thank you, Nick. Thank you very much for that. It's for me, it's always a pleasure to talk about staging, colors, emotion, and property. So it's a perfect topic for me tonight. So I called it the power of staging. You called it. What did you call it? Stage fright. Thank you very much.
Stage fright, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
So I suppose as a bit of an intro, I would say that I called it the power of staging because to me, staging is the tool. It's a very powerful tool that sometimes is a bit overseen, but a tool that allows to basically maximize the property return. Let me just touch slightly there we go, sorry. So it's so staging, so what you can see actually, it's the trend when you look at Airbnb or Rightmove, you can see that actually interiors are becoming a bit more sophisticated with a bit more colors, I think. But generally, there's still kind of a bit of almost like an industry standard. And I'm talking about, like a bit of a gray, yellow or teal kind of fixtures. But I think things are moving slightly now. But so what I found with clients is that often the staging is seen as the last bit, and what they want is just to kind of they spend a lot of time working on the property and they just want to get it out of the door basically. And it's the cherry on the cake, I think, which sometimes is missed. So people sometimes I think are a bit scared of making the wrong choices. That's one element of it. Or also they're not interested. It's not their thing. They don't want to alienate people, so they don't want to kind of choose colors that are too bold. Or they just like a bit of confidence, so they're interested, but they just kind of don't dare doing it. So I'm going to show fully through this presentation. I mean, I'm going to share, it's just, like 45 minutes an hour. So I was trying to kind of give you the most I can give you in that time to give you the tools to be able to kind of bring the best of a room and show you the benefits so that really it it becomes very clear how much staging can really change how much you can get out of your property. So in terms of, let me move to the, it's not moving. There we go. So the benefit of staging. So this is a virtual example. So I've just put this slide together showing a bit how you can transform a room. And it starts, I mean, this is kind of more the nature of my job. It's more the emotional side. So it's how staging changes a room. So what you do with staging, it's creating an emotional connection, right? It's helping your tenants or your potential buyers to really visualize the room, project themselves in it, increase the appeal online, which is massive. It's something you really want to be able to stand out rather than blend. And also you want to draw the attention to the best-selling features, and staging is something that really helps drawing the eye wherever you want them to go. So more concretely, I think for investors, because this is kind of soft fact I'm giving, but when it comes to actually the numbers, what it does, it increase the rate and the rent you can get out of your property. And I will share some numbers with you. You also get, and this is quite significant, that you get better quality guests and tenants. And with that, what it allows you to do is you get less voids because people want to be in these properties. You increase the desirability of your place as well. And ultimately, as a landlord or a service accommodation owner, it's less stress, which is also an element not to dismiss.
Going back to that,
yeah.
When we saw this, we thought, because we only saw the first picture, and we went, oh, that looks all right. It wasn't until you saw the second one you realize what the first picture's missing.
Yeah,
that's the point, because I actually thought, well, that looks quite like quite a nice room. Yeah.
There's another one after the one we were talking about, almost like the 7 difference one, which is not necessary. You see the bigger picture, and this is exactly that. Is how a room makes you feel, and you wouldn't necessarily notice these little details. And this is why details actually create the room, because individually they kind of almost insignificant, but it's just put together, then you change completely the essence of the room somehow.
Oh, absolutely. I totally get that.
So, yeah, let me move to the next one. So this one, in fact, I've done what you asked me to do, Nick. So this one is a brilliant example, because this is real life. This is a service accommodation, basically comparison of 2 apartments in Nottingham. So these 2 apartments, what's interesting is that they both have the same layout. It's basically 2 adjacent apartments. And what's been done is that one has been what I would call staged. So some effort, some thinking has been put behind. So this is the one where you can see with the kind of olive background. And the one on the right, which I called like in need of love, but really it's kind of also like a standard type of room. You know, you gray, the colors that don't really clash, really soft, really kind of easy, right? I put underneath also the light. So this is the light that's been used in the bedroom. I can't share the photos just because these are actual flats that I can't really share the picture. But the lights, the bedside lamp, sorry, give you also a bit of an indication of the feel of the bedroom, right? So what you can see there side by side between the stage and the one that hasn't really been done to a higher standard, I'd say, the occupancy varies from, more than 10%, right? Then the night rate, what staging does is that you manage to even improve, as I was talking earlier, you improve your rate by £10 a night, which if you bring that to a year, that increase your revenue by almost £10,000, which is enormous. And if you have to put a number of how much investment basically has to be put between, the stage one and the other one, I would say if you invest £3,000, maybe £4,000 with a push, but again, this is something that every year this revenue is going to come back. So this slide, I think, is really representative of what staging can do. The other area where staging can be used is when you flip, and some numbers I got from, it's called the Home Staging Association. So these guys, they get their numbers from estate agents mostly. So what they came up with is a survey pre-lockdown that shows that to sell a property, on average, you needed around, so that's 9 months. And after staging, you bring that down by, tenfold, less than a month. So not only you speed the process up, you get your money back faster, but also you manage to achieve better value, better offers for your properties. So 3 out of 4 estate agent reckons that staging does that. And as you can see, between 1% and 3% of an increase of a value, almost half of the property basically would have that.
You see it on TV. You see it that an awful. There's a lot of TV programs where somebody can't sell their house, and suddenly they bring them. I've forgotten their names now. They come in, they change it, do a few little cushions there, change the colour of a wall, and they bring it all together. And it's like you say, bring some love, and suddenly the house goes out the door quicker than they can finish while the paint's still drying. But I didn't realise how much importance there was on staging. I thought if someone wanted a room, they wanted a room. Yeah, people make it look nice, but these numbers are really quite incredible.
Well, yeah, and it's, I think, staging, I think in America, I think it came originally from there. And I think over there, it's almost like a standard. When you sell your property, you stage it. It's something that is absolutely accepted on the market, that's the way you sell.
Yep, they do.
So the last example I've got, so this one is a theoretical. So I worked with someone in Derby. So he basically managed some student HMOs, and we kind of worked theoretically. So if you look at the first example I was giving, the kind of green room, and the gray one is kind of that standard, that difference, that level of detail. So again, you would see a difference in £10 a week. So you would reduce slightly your voids, and also impact the amount of repair you've got to do, which again, it all adds up, doesn't it? So on a 5-bed typical student HMO, again, a year you would see a difference in £3,300. So these were kind of, I wanted to start with that because I suppose, I always talk about, emotion and colors and the stuff that really excites me, but ultimately it's down to numbers. And I think these numbers really tell the story, that how much this part of the process has to be looked at with the same level of detail that you apply when you do all your due diligence and everything in the process of, buying a property, I think. So I'm going to move to the bit about me. So I'm going to go quite swiftly on that. So
no, you don't.
It's about staging tonight. So let me just. So I put these photos because I think it was just to kind of say, this is my house basically, and this is how I see how passionate I am about colors. But beyond the colors, I think it's how I feel, basically, how the emotion that comes out of colors, how a room can make you feel. And you were asking me the other day where staging came from, what was the kind of, motivation behind. And ultimately, I think I was a very frustrated tenant for more than 10 years. I was living in London. And I think that frustration basically kind of pushed me to make sure that after that, when I had my own properties, that I was making sure that the rooms were giving me what I needed to feel good. And this is every project I tackle. I think this is what exactly I've got in mind, is how I want people to feel in the room. And what you want is people to feel good, quite simply, no matter what you target and what's your strategy. Even if you have contractors, there are a way to add things to make people feel good and special. So, yeah, so still about me, isn't it? Right. So my background is in chemistry. So I always had a passion in art and creative stuff, but I follow more a scientific path, let's say. So I specialize in plastic and then in packaging. So this is kind of my what I worked for over 10 years for large companies as a project manager. And 3 years ago, I had kids. So now the eldest is 8. So I had to kind of reinvent myself a bit. And I looked into various things, and around 3-4 years ago, I started in property, kind of educated myself, became a sourcer, because again, the skill I had were quite transferable. And that led to becoming a property manager for a management company. And in this job, I was asked at some point to kind of help staging place, a unit that needed a bit of attention. And once I've done that, I was asked to basically move to a 5-bed empty service accommodation, because I showed that basically I could do the job. And when doing that, I had so much pleasure. And you know, when you do something and it feels right, and it was really the case. And I thought, right, okay, that's what I want to do. So I decided to leave that company to build my own company, which is called Stage for More. And as I was kind of, you know, doing my notice period, I got an amazing opportunity. So it was a 10-bed HMO in Derby, an amazing project that I had to do basically from scratch. The bed were there, the kitchenette was there, and I had to make the rest of the room basically. And that was kind of, I would say, the project that really kind of launched me really. And since then, it's all I've been doing, and I'm loving it. So the other things I've done, so you mentioned it earlier. So this is something I would say, if you're not on it, please go. It's a group I created called the Property Staging Group for Investors on Facebook. It's great. It's well, for me, it was the opportunity to, all that stuff I've got in my head, I could just put it in some place and share it. And the beauty is that there's a lot now. There's almost 1,500 people in there. There's a lot of other stagers and interior designers, all sorts of people from, you know, that kind of creative interior profile, and a lot of investors. So it's all about, you know, finding tips and asking questions and helping each other. So it's lovely. I worked also with Julian Morris on, that was last year, on an interior design guide he did. So I helped on a few elements of that guide. So in terms of the service I offer, and basically what I think are the element of interior, let's say, that really make a difference. So the first one, and probably the closest to my heart, it's create the color scheme. And the reason why I love it is because I think often people basically don't dare kind of pushing a bit what they do with the dressing of the room, because they start with a relatively plain background, and I think it kind of mute everything. And I think the beauty of having like a strong color scheme is just kind of inspired not only your tenant or your guest, but it also even inspired the investor to kind of do the dressing. And this one is the perfect example, the orange blue room. It's basically someone who asked me to do the color scheme, and then she finished it off with the dressing herself. And I think, you know, what's great about color scheme is that, to me, the color you put on the walls is kind of 50% of the story. It's how really it's a very strong kind of how can I say, elements of the room. So whatever you're going to put on the walls are gonna play a huge part in how you're going to make people feel. How can I say? It's a perfect topic for me. Sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Shall I carry on?
You need to carry on, yeah, because they put questions. Normally, sometimes clicks the button and then somebody's talking. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. So the example on the right is quite interesting. So this one was an HMO, and you can see, you know, you see three photos, and it's kind of the painting, and then the kind of just changing a few things. And that was for an HMO, and the owner wanted to change a bit the profile of their tenant. And they had a room that was empty for a while. So they wanted to move from student to more kind of professional. And the beauty in an HMO particularly is that in communal area, you can give a bit more interest into the room. So you can go a bit more, you know, a bit bolder with the choice. The thing, so I'm working on, so I'm aiming for mid-April. I'm working on something called, well, I'm probably going to find another name, but the essence of it, it's a color scheme guide for investment properties. And it's basically what I'm doing. It's using all the kind of standard flooring color, so your gray carpet and your, you know, your wood color, and the generic kind of furniture, so your blue sofas and all that. And I'm basically putting this guide where I kind of suggest around 3 schemes for each kind of scenarios to help people to just go a bit further and to just have the answer. So I spec basically the paint, and I kind of advise on this orange stripe you see on this slide to just guide people to get like a solid background so that then they can dress the room. So that's something I'm doing at the moment. The other things I do, it's either update interior or create new ones. So the updating interiors, it's people. So this example, it's rent to SA. The owner wanted to, well, the owner wanted to basically refresh the room, but not spending too much. So we were going to use most of the furniture that were already in there. So in the brief, it was clear that, you know, we had to keep the budget to, you know, the bare minimum. They managed to get the walls painted in a kind of creamy color. And what I come up with, it's what I call in the middle the shopping list, which is basically suggestion of all the furniture that I found that would fit within that scheme. And I then put together some kind of visuals to help, you know, the owner, the clients, to basically put the rooms together. And you see, I mean, I'm always in love with the side-by-side. I think it's the best part of my job, actually, putting the side-by-side, because it's always just great to see how little, to be honest, can just make such a difference.
I think they look absolutely they look great. You look at before, especially the top pictures, and the ones underneath. Is that all the same house?
It is, yeah.
So houses.
So the other part, so I said it's either what I do is basically refreshing or updating HMOs or rent to SA or that kind of model, or I design some brand new areas. So this one was again another service accommodation, blank canvas, and what I provide basically it's usually a couple of concepts and then some visuals, and yeah, this one is it's very pretty. So there was a studio, this one, in a garden. So now I'm going to share with you. So this is kind of the key consideration I think you've got to bear in mind when you start tackling your interior. So the first thing is to understand your market and adapt. So I put adapt your strategy. So I've done this thing which shows basically on the left, this is what I would imagine being the, if you flip a property, because indeed, if you want to sell a property, you need to, you don't want to alienate people. So you don't want to go too bold. Having said that, you still want to bring interest. So on one side, I've got the selling, and on the other side is service accommodation, which is to me the one when you can, you're selling a dream, you're selling an experience. So you can go you can be a bit braver. You can still use the same ideas, you just have to adapt it to your strategy. And this is what I was trying to show there. And in between, I would say this is where you've got your AST or your HMO. So you kind of flip around that. Basically, you just have to assess who you're trying to appeal to, sorry. The next one, this one is very interesting. Actually, look at your competition. And again, this is something I don't think people do much. You really want to stand out. So what I'm going to show you, it's a work I've done, you know, last week. So I showed you earlier this blue and orange apartment, right? And I was trying to do for the client to kind of gather all the competition to see on Airbnb, basically, you know, how much impact she was going to have to kind of understand even what photos we were going to pick for the cover photo. And what I came up with, so this is in Sheffield. This is the kind of competition she has in the market she's competing with. And you can see, so on the left, I put all the host where she is, and then on the right, the let's call them the normal host, right? And what you found is this gray stroke yellow fixture, which is seen as almost like, this is the safe, this is kind of the industry standard. But what happens when you do something which you think is, you're not taking a risk by doing what other people do? You are taking a risk, because what you're doing is completely blending. So I've counted, and in the host, basically, people using, the yellow cushions, the yellow cushion team, half of them do that. In the superhost, only one. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but in the superhost, only one was using the, I can't point, but I'm sure you've worked it out. One is using a yellow cushion as a cover picture. And also for the service accommodation people who are listening, what I found is that the superhost, again, maybe it's a coincidence, but the superhost are showing as a cover picture, they're showing like a communal area. They're showing a lifestyle, where the other are concentrating mostly on the bed, on the sofa. And I think this is also key, and this is the essence of what you do with staging. It's showing a bit a lifestyle, showing an emotion, showing you want people to picture themselves. And that, I think, is this slide for me, it's very telling.
I think that's my favorite slide of the whole presentation, just because in isolation, those gray and yellow ones actually look really nice. Yeah. But when you take it in context of everything else that's going on, all of a sudden, you've not differentiated yourself. You just kept up with the rest of the market.
Yeah, I mean, again, it might just be, it's the first time I was doing this exercise. It might be a coincidence, but I suspect it's not, because it was always my feel that the standard was this kind of gray stroke yellow, and the teal also is coming, which is what most people use, I think. So look at the comparison on that. So next one was defining the feel and the atmosphere you want to create. And that part is the one that I really relate to, and that kind of inform almost the choice of color you make. So, in your communal living area, you want more kind of, you want people to chat. So you want like warmer colors, right? You want your orange, you kind of, and did I put any? Oh, there we go. So I haven't done these are just kind of inspiration. This is when I start a project, when I start this with clients, is that, okay, what are we going for here? How do you want your tenants? How do you want your guests to feel? And it's often related to the market you're trying to appeal to, but there already you kind of start thinking about what idea, what feel you're trying to convey in what you do. Then you want, I refer to that already, you want to inspire lifestyle. So, the best advice I can give on the, especially, Airbnb, but also so service accommodation, but for the rest, is really help people to picturing themselves in your property, and not necessarily on the bed. I don't think it's something that is I don't know, enthuse people. I think just help them to see themselves on a corner reading a book or having a conversation in a nice sofa. It's more kind of what you try to achieve. And also highlight the key features. So being, your fireplace, or if you've got a nice view, you want the eye to kind of be drawn towards the window. So this is kind of what I mean by suggesting the lifestyle. So the sofa facing each other, this one, I mean, not all rooms allow that, but this is such a lovely thing to do, to show people, okay, you can sit and have a chat. And this is very welcoming. This is the kind of feel you want to get when you look at a photo. Or the dining room, just help them to kind of visualize them, or a corner seat. So then remind yourself of functionality and flow. It's very basic. It is basic, but I think, again, it's kind of overlooked, this one. It has to be pretty, but more importantly, it's got to work. So I mean, I could put on there dozens of photos that I see on Airbnb particularly. If you want to watch TV, you want your sofa to be facing the TV ideally, and not a mirror. You know, the table underneath the stairs. One I had to put there because it's something I see all the time. It's this thing with TV and particularly artwork. You want your artwork to be at eye level of, you know, the average person. So if you said the center of the artwork has to be at you know, 1 meter 65 type of thing, and same thing for the TV. So the TV has to be in front of the sofa. So, you know, the TV that are put on the top of the chimney, sometimes it works for the space, but actually functionally it doesn't really work for the person who watched the TV. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Anthony, have we got questions? Because I can see.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Let me.
Nick. So we've had questions coming through quite a lot, to be fair. But what I was planning to do was, because I know Fabienne's got a lot to sort of go through, to go through them at the end. Okay,
Fabi, a lot of people have asked to join your Facebook group.
Excellent. Welcome. That's cool. Yeah, so maintain cohesion in the scheme. So this one, right. I'm trying to think how to put it. So this one, if I can start with the example of what not to do, maybe is that I see, for instance, people who go for, you know, the more pinky room and then the blue room and then kind of a mix of colors, right? One thing that is very essential in creating harmony, and again, it's all this thing about feeling good, and it's a lot of it is unconscious. We don't really know how things make us feel until we kind of go into that room. So cohesion is about kind of making sure that whatever kind of color scheme, the palette you define, you keep it cohesive across all the rooms. So I'm going to show you an example now. So this is a room, another service accommodation I did, so a studio. And what I show here, actually, it's what I've done in the room, but actually what you want is to apply the same principle across all the property. So you can, I can't see it, I've got all the photo, but you've got the palette basically that I define at the bottom. So these are your key colors. And what you're gonna do is use these colors in different rooms in different proportion if you want. You can go a bit darker, you can go a bit lighter, but you've got to stick to that. And by kind of keeping that, what you create is just an harmonious flow across the property. Then I've got, think about the details and the contrast. So this is the example we're talking earlier. So details, these are the little things that make people feel special. So something like a shelf that's got nothing on it is not going to make people kind of think, okay, I've someone looked after this property for me. This one is caring, right? So, and create contrast. So you want, again, to stand out, but you want to bring interest into the room. Don't have bare walls, don't have bare shelves, add little things. And again, it doesn't have to cost a lot. Go to the range. So this is the slide, Nick, we were talking about the seven different games. So what I've done on this one is just, on the left is a photo I found on Airbnb. So the first thing I've done is bringing down, sorry, the artwork. And already you see the difference. It's just cozier, isn't it? And I've just changed a few things to a total of under £200. And if this is your cover photo on Airbnb, this is a photo that's going to stand out just by tweaking literally a few things. And, you know, on the shelf, for instance, you can see I added a couple of things, a plant. I've added, you know, I changed the color of the pot, of the vase for the plant to bring a bit more of this orange color, a bit more contrast. And suddenly you're looking at a room that, to me, feels very different.
And that change cost £176.
Yeah, so I went, it was a quick job I did just for this presentation, and I went on Dunelm and maybe IKEA, I think, so nothing.
Okay.
I found, yes, so this one, it's people, I think, what I found is that often people are a bit scared with colors and a bit scared of offending people, making the wrong choices, but actually just have fun, just, people love color, and especially now, I think people are craving a bit of fun. Just go with it. Add colors, add interest, and it will be well received, and again, it will stand out. So I did a quick intro on colors. This is a big topic, but I thought just a couple of ways of basically starting with the color, because it's like, okay, where do I start from? So I love Victorian property in particular, because they always have a bit of a clue for you. So
it's mine.
So I carry on, sorry. So you've got, for instance, on this one, this is the first project I showed, this 10-bed HMOs, and it had this lovely chimney breast. And literally what I did is just picking up the key colors. So you can see I created this swatch next to it. And all I did is basically using that to pick every item in that property. And again, you can go lighter, you can go darker, but you stay within that. And it helps you, one of those items, but also to create this cohesive look I'm talking about. So this one is a second example. So I was talking about the chimney. Another way you can do it, which is kind of, it helps to kind of inspire you, I suppose. It's pick either a frame, an artwork, or a rug you like, and then from there, extract some colors that kind of work. So if you have like a gray carpet, so you see I put the gray at the top. So you've got to have all the colors kind of working together. And then you start picking your different elements, your different items and decoration and soft furnishing. And you can then, which kind of feed into the room, the finished look, basically. So I had to talk a bit about the COVID impact, because I thought the way it has influenced the interior has to be noticed and kind of thought about when you put a room together. So one big trend is this me time. So I think after having been for so long kind of stuck together, people are craving these little areas where they can just remove themselves and have a bit of a time for themselves. So there's different ways of doing it. Then something that is, I find it really nice, because I keep talking about, the fear of making the wrong choice. And I think what I've read different things on that from, I think B&Q was talking about it, and some designer paint company who said actually people are going for color that actually they like. They choose on things going well together and how it makes them feel again. So choices are based more on emotion rather than just trying to blend or to, not taking risk. So people are adding a lot of more warmth and softness to what they do. And they're less scared of color, which again feed into this thing of people want to see colors in the property they buy or where they want to stay. Home office, we all know, most of us do it. This is something to really include in the properties. A big one, which I believe the right word for it is called biophilia. It's this connection from human to nature. And I think COVID has just done that for us, is this need to feel connected and grounded. So the inclusion of wood, cork, all the natural elements, as well as plants. And as I was saying the other day, is that they can be fake as well. It doesn't, in fact, you should go for fake plants and not having to bother about looking after them. or even there's a photo there of a poster with kind of trees beyond. It's anything you can do to bring that nature into a property will go a long way. And natural tones. So I was talking about the yellow earlier, or the teal, and I think what people do more, it's kind of this attraction towards more natural colors, and they can be deep. They don't have to be like muted tones. You can have, you know, some terracotta and some dark greens. But again, as a guideline, just kind of look around in nature, and the answers are there for you. And the last one is the sense of nostalgia. So it's this lovely kind of, again, in the spirit of feeling more grounded and rooted. It's this need of having all the pieces. So I think it's really smart to try to bring some old pieces, some vintage stuff, and you can paint them to kind of, you know, keep them a bit contemporary, but just bring old pieces into properties, and plus it's a bit quirky and people like that. So I think, so yeah, so that's for the I think I've been very quick, haven't I? So the thing I wanted to say to finish this one, so the group on the left, the property staging group, to get inspiration and tip, by all means, you know, go there. What I've put on my Stage for More page, I've put now, just for tonight actually, I created this almost like a way to register your interest into this color guide I'm talking about. It's going to be created, you know, in the next couple of months. So if you want to go on my page and just, you know, like the guide, so that I know if you're interested. And the other thing is that I will offer 10% discount of all the services I offer to members of LNPG. And again, Nick and the team, thank you very much for that.
No, that was absolutely brilliant. You absolutely whizzed through that. I never thought we'd get there in 45 minutes, but no, it was just as good watching it the second time as it was the first.
You're the first one that has, though, hasn't she, Anthony?
Well, it's because we shut up, because we don't know anything about it.
You must have killed you, Nick.
We all know. We asked all the stupid questions yesterday. Yeah, you can have your gin and tonic now, Fab.
Well, I tell you what, give it 10-15 minutes, because I've just got a couple of questions to whiz through first, and I'm sure plenty more are going to be in the chat as well. So, first question, which got in there really early, was: is it worth staging for a standard buy-to-let property?
Well, I mean, the buy-to-let, so it depends if it's furnished or unfurnished. I mean, ultimately, you want, you know, this thing about again, I'd always talk about creating emotion, but it's down to that. You want to attract people. You want people to, you know, visualize themselves. You know, I explained that, and it's real. And again, you can even, I've seen numbers, I haven't shared that tonight, but again, the numbers I was sharing earlier with service accommodation and HMOs, it applies exactly the same for buy-to-let. So put a bit more love into the property, and actually, yes, you're going to get a better rent. Yes, you're going to rent faster. So I'd say yes.
I mean, you've segued quite nicely there, because quite a lot of people at this point were saying how they'd staged property at one point. So years ago, I staged a property one weekend and gained 12K just by elementary staging. Another member said, we do it all the time, 90% sales success and getting a better price. And what I loved about your presentation there was, it's not just about, you know, we can tell this looks better than that. And you can see the sort of feeling it generates, but you also break it down into the numbers as well and say, look, this is the return on investment that you're going to get for making your properties look better, make them feel better. So yeah, I really appreciate that as well. Another question that's come in: do you stage every room with bedding, lamps, cushions, etc. in a new HMO? Last time, what this member did was they moved around the staging, sort of prop set between each room for the photos.
Yeah. I agree that, you know, there's always a bit of letdown. I would imagine, you know, you're a student, you see a nice photo on you know, on Rightmove, and then you turn up and actually there's no beddings. It's a bit of a letdown. Having said that, you need to bring the person through the door, and that's already kind of, you know, the job kind of almost done. So you need to, all the photos, and something I didn't mention, thank you for reminding me, is professional photography all the time. Again, I've seen, I spent a lot of time on Airbnb, and the difference it makes. I mean, it costs, you know, £100, £150. It makes a massive difference in just the appearance and the color and the length, you know, the width of the photo. So professional photos, and yeah, staging, and like the person said, just have a staging kit. You know, I have two. What I do normally is that I have two, enough to cover 2 rooms for the blankets and the soft furnishing, and so that gives me time when the photographer is there to move from another room. So I've got time to kind of dress another room before he moves in.
I mean,
can I ask you a question? Because it might be a real stupid one. If you're staging an HMO, yeah, and you've staged it, before the tenant moves or the person moves into the HMO, do they not get what you've just staged it with, or do you take that out to your next property and they're left?
Yeah, it depends on the client.
Is that a stupid question?
But usually it's not, because everyone, do you know what? Everyone does it a bit differently. But for the normally for the duvet, the soft furnishing, the cushions, normally that you would take away. So you would, you know, if you've got stuff on the walls, if you have, you know, shelves, if you've got plants, you would leave that. Your bedside tables and all that you leave. It's just, I think, the soft furnishing you would take away, and you keep that basically in a box. This is your dressing box for all your HMOs basically.
But could you not? Yeah, again, so that wouldn't happen in service accommodation, because they'd rent what they see. Yes, on the service.
No, service accommodation, absolutely. There's no, oh God, yeah, you know, the reviews will absolutely kill you if you were not living in the room what the photo shows. Yeah, by all means. Yeah.
So one of the questions that I will ask is, one person said for buy-to-lets, if you're just staging and then and you've got a few buy-to-lets, then I would say, yes, stage it for renting it out as a normal family buy-to-let, because people will get a feel for that home, how they could make the home, and then just move it to your next one. Yeah. So it's just a question that came up. That was all. That question. Yeah. Okay.
You sort of mentioned earlier on that it was about that they might feel a bit shortchanged, but I think the reality is it's changing the perspective from selling the room as a room, and then selling the room as a home of what you could do with it. You know, how you could envision yourself living there, and that's the key difference, which is going to make the money.
Jane makes a situation where she says you get 2 different prices, one for staging and you keep it, and one for not. I'm sorry, Fab.
No, I was just saying it's helping people visualizing, because, you know, you take for granted, you know, that this person is going to see that there's enough space over there to have like a dining table, and actually, you know, not everyone can do that. You really have to kind of spell it out for them, and just make it, again, this welcoming feel. I mean, in the US, I was talking earlier, they would literally bake, you know, like croissant before people come, just to even have, you know, some kind of nice smell in the house. It's making it as welcoming as possible.
These days, you just have to get a croissant delivered to their door, I think.
One member says you're setting I couldn't quite read what she says, sizzle. Not the
selling the sizzle, yeah, not just the steak.
I like that. Selling the sizzle.
So another question here from Chris. We use city block beds, which are metal frame beds in our HMOs. They seem to be the only ones that do not get damaged. However, they are white, black, or grey. Should we stick with these, usually grey, or look for something else? So quite a specific question there, but interesting, the dynamic between looking for something that's long lasting and then looking for something that's really going to sell the lifestyle of the properties you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in all the strategy, you want to have, you know, furniture that is solid enough. Having said that, I mean, it depends on the look they're going for as well, and who's their market is. Because if they're going for like a metal, you know, I would imagine it's quite industrial. It's probably, you know, it's a bit more masculine, maybe student. So, you know, and it's not one element, it's what you put it anyway. So if he's happy with the quality and the look of it, it doesn't matter. Thing is never going to kill a room, you know. So if you've got like a deal on certain, you know, on a wardrobe or anything, you can make it work around anything.
Brilliant answer. So Sila's asked, what service do you offer? For instance, do you advise on color palettes only, or do you also source the products, etc.?
Yeah, so as I was, so clearly my presentation was not that good because it was clear. So the first thing the first thing I do, so it's the color scheme, and I seem to be doing more and more. I think this is the thing that I talk a lot about. So color scheme, and what it does is that it helps people to basically then dress themselves. So what they like is that a lot of people are creative. They just want to basically have their hands hold at the beginning, hands held at the beginning. So just having like a solid backdrop help them to then do the dressing. And also what's good with that is that they reduce the, you know, my cost quite a lot, because, you know, they just get basically the walls and they do the job. The other thing I do, and I work more and more remotely, especially now it kind of work, is I work with photos, layout and videos, and you know, we agree kind of the brief, the budget, and basically I come up with like a concept. I create this shopping list. So when it was local to, so I didn't say I live near Loughborough. So local projects, I used to do everything myself. These days I just do everything remotely. So people basically get that shopping list and they source and assemble and dress things themselves. Guide in terms of where things goes, but people do it themselves.
I think one of the good things that we sort of spoke about on the last time that we met, with regards to that shopping list, is that it's not just you should buy a green chair. It is, you know, there's links in there specifically to the exact green chair that you're recommending. So, you know, they don't have to buy that, but yeah, when you say shopping list, it's very specific.
Yeah, so I put all the information in there, and again, you know, I mean, to be fair, no one has ever come back to kind of say, I don't like that, can you find something else? Yeah, you know, I work according to the budget and according to the style, and I think, you know, it tends to work really.
So what would you put in a fireplace recess to look good?
It's a question I often get, and yeah, it's I don't know. Again, it always depends a bit what you're trying to achieve there. You know, if you're lacking storage, you can find a clever way to try to get some shelves in there. Or, you know, if it's a living room, you might want to have some, you know, if you go for a bit of a rustic feel, you can put some, what they call logs, you know, just to give this, you know, it's difficult to answer like that without, you know, I don't have like a standard answer, like seeing things. I don't know. Sorry.
Depending on the sort of feeling that you're going for.
Yes, absolutely. You can even have a mirror. You know, if it's a dark room, I would have even a mirror in there, kind of orientated so that you kind of get some light. And this is what I'm saying. It just depends what you need in that room.
Okay, then. So I was looking forward to this because I saw these coming in. There was a bit of controversy when you mentioned that you actually prefer fake plants. I've got so many people going here, fake plants not good for feng shui. I'm a gardener, real plants bring well-being benefits. So what's your reasoning behind, you know, gunning for the fake plants?
Well, fake plants, so there's few things with fake plants. I mean, you need to spend a bit of money, so you can't go for kind of the cheap stuff, because, you know, the one that looks fake, I would not advise, purely because you want to make life easy for the cleaners, for the owners, or the less maintenance as possible. Also because they look brilliant. And when I was talking about biophilia, having fake plants actually gives you this feel. You don't have to necessarily be, you know, touching it. But again, you know, if there are some people who are really passionate about having real plants, by all means, all I'm doing here, it's giving a look and a feel that works. Then, you know, if by all means, you know, I've got only real plants here, but for service accommodations, I would not personally, and none of my clients.
I completely agree with you. You know, I'm a big proponent of fake plants as well. Why bother watering it every day when you can just dust it once a month? So it makes sense to me. Any suggestions for unfurnished flats?
Well, so to single let unfurnished.
Yeah.
Well, play with paint. So, you know, I gave an example at the beginning. This table, this kind, you know, using the ceiling. Yeah, this is always using the ceiling. So just dress the walls. You can't really dress the property, so dress the walls and go a bit further than the gray. Just, you know, and something I didn't mention, you know, is I would really encourage to move away from the gray and move towards a kind of more taupe color. You know, we're talking about natural colors and all that, and I think that is a lot warmer, is a more welcoming. So more fixtures on the wall, play with the walls. That's what I would say.
Anthony, come back as a plastic plant I've just seen. God,
it'd be a good life,
saying that about you. What are they saying about me?
Well, actually, funny you should mention that, because it's not a question here, but I did want to read it out. A member's written, I've never seen Nick to be so quiet.
Look, one of the things I will say, I am completely out of my depth. Next week, yes, and I'll talk about next week, then I'm in my element. I am, Anthony, mate, you've shone on this one. We know where your coming is, I tell you.
I'm going to have a webinar on fake plants next week, just me.
I have not got a clue. I am so quiet, and I understand. That's why I live in a boring house. You need to get your backside round here.
This is a good question here, actually. Can you rent furnishings to stage property for photos?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I do for clients. Sometimes, you know, they have specific requirements. I'm lying, actually, the last client was renting, but it's not something I do. I can't really talk about it, I'd say. It's not, sorry. I don't advise, you know, clients, all the projects I have, they're all different, and I kind of adapt to, sometimes they know where they want me to get the stuff, sometimes they get trade discounts, sometimes, you know, so it's just, depends.
Roger's put a really good thought in the chat here. Most people cannot envisage what is possible, so need help of staging to see one version. Later they can follow the example or change suit to taste. I think that was, there's a few sort of comments there. Someone's noticed as well my background. Last week I was in the kitchen. I'm still in the kitchen, Audrey. I've just got a new background in today. But yeah, talking about selling the sizzle, as one member put it, it's nice to see that people understand that and get the value of what you're doing here.
Lovely.
I think I've come to the end of the questions. I think so. That was good. I'm doubting myself now. So yeah, again, I will put your Facebook group again in the chat, and we'll stick it on the comments for the Facebook video as well. But thank you so much for today. It's honestly been one of the best webinars yet.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And you did extremely well. Honestly, you did absolutely brilliant. And one of the questions is coming, and I know you're not ready for this. Yeah, they're going to want to get to you. Yeah, because you're doing the Facebook group, and because of COVID, you've got your 2 little kiddies to look after and whatever. Yeah, I've asked Fabienne to work on how she's going to help members, how she's going to help people out, and she's putting that kind of colour scheme guide for investment properties, and she's going to be working on how she takes this forward. Is that fair to say, Fabienne?
Yeah. I mean, the best, exactly, Nick. And yeah, I mean, the lockdown has thrown some, what is it? It's not tools in the what? You've got an English expression for that.
I don't know what she's trying to say.
What you're saying. No idea.
Yeah, no, but the lockdown, you know, COVID has made things a bit.
In the works, probably.
That's the one. Thank you. Coming to my rescue, thank you. Yes, no, it has made things a bit difficult. This guide should be already done. There's a lot of things, you know, I don't have a website because it should be done. But, you know, go on my business page on Facebook, get in touch, and, you know, every project is different. So, you know, I'm always happy to kind of try to assess what's needed and the best way to kind of, you know, bring life to any places and have a chat. So contact me through that. And yeah.
And if you can't get hold of her, ring us and we'll help you get hold of her. Oh, did I just say that? She's hating me for this. I'm going to be working with you to help you, Fabia. Yes.
Thank you, Nick, for your support. Thank you.
All right. And I hope you saw what I saw when I first met her. Yeah. Honestly, Anthony I'm not going to say any more because Anthony said it all. That was absolutely fantastic. I really did enjoy that.
Okay.
So yeah, that was really, really good.
So right, all we've got is next week. Yeah.
Oh yes. Now back to my element. Yes. What we have also asked before I go on to next week is that, is there anything, or if people want a particular subject to be talked about, what we'll do is we'll bring them people in. This isn't just like an LNPG show or my show. It's about trying to give value, trying to help members out. So if there's anything that people want to see or want help with, or a particular subject, please get in touch with us and we can see what we can do. Okay, next week we've got Wolseley, and it's not your typical Wolseley telling you how to use their key accounts team. We have got a new concept that we're bringing in on how to get the best out of Wolseley. We've done it on the bathroom suites, where they have brought in 23 hubs to look after LNPG member, and there's a person in each branch who's been debriefed on how to look after, how to advise and take you through that journey, but also that you can pay and it gets delivered. So that got us all thinking, well, why don't we do exactly the same on heating, on everything to do with Wolseley? So next week we'll be launching the new way to use Wolseley. Okay, don't want to say too much because no point in you being here for next week, but it's a new concept on how to get the best out of Wolseley and how to pay for your products, not having to just walk into a branch, pay for it and then go home. Yeah, so there's new ways of going to be doing something. We're going to soft launch it and you'll be given the details next week. For the people on here, we'll be able to use the new system. We're going to soft launch it and we will actually go live nationwide on the 15th of January, 15th of March. Okay. And I'm really, really excited. We have worked really hard behind the scenes to try to put this together, to make that journey as easy as possible. Now I can talk for England on this subject because I feel your pain. I have to go to a branch to pay for something. Yeah. Well, I just want to pick up the phone. So that's what we're doing next week. That's it. That's all I've got to really say on that. And just like to thank everybody for coming on. We had over 92 people and 200-300 people on social media watching it. So, Fabienne, don't forget, remember where you were when we made the papers. Yeah. Yeah. Don't forget.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
And I hope you all enjoyed it. And please put a message out there because she will see that she was so nervous in doing this. And I think you did an absolute wonderful job tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.